Warning, anime out of context has strong language, spoilers, stupidly wrong ideas, and general silliness. Neither of our hosts are professionals and do not take their opinions as such. Listen at your own discretion, and enjoy.
Previously on Anime Out of Context.
The show that I am about to torture you with today is a lovely show by the name of Rosario Vampire.
I'm not exaggerating when I say I disliked everything.
Say you just got out of junior high school and you wanted to get into a very fancy private high school. But then one day your father comes home with an acceptance letter to one high school that you've never heard of but supposedly is very prestigious.
Hogwarts?
You get your letter, you hop on, you go take the bus to your faraway new boarding school that you're gonna learn at, you're gonna make new friends, you're gonna have a great high school experience.
He gets on the bus and the bus driver is like, oh man, you're going to a scary place. Oh, this place is terrifying.
Then out of nowhere, you run into a beautiful girl with bright pink hair.
He's been ran into by Mocha the vampire, and she was like, I'm a vampire, and he was like, haha, oh Mocha.
But there's a slight problem. You get there, and things seem a little bit off. A little bit creepy.
The blood lake and the scarecrow in the graveyard and being told that this place is of unspeakable horrors by the bus driver. This place is fine, you're just playing around. Maybe the next 10 episodes of season 1 and all of season 2, they really delve into the nuance of the characters. It has depth, it has art, it has beauty and nuance. Maybe that's the case, but I have a hypothesis. It's just gonna be more panty shots, isn't it, Shaun?
It's mostly gonna be just panty shots.
I know.
What's wrong? It almost seems like your spirit has been broken.
I'm not sexually frustrated enough to enjoy this. I feel like I should be put on a registry just for watching episode 3.
And with all that we have said about this, I have one final question for you, Remington.
What is that?
Would you like to sit down and watch a couple more episodes with me?
No, I don't think that I am ever going to watch another episode of Rosario Vampire again. Oh boy, what have I gotten myself into?
Hello and welcome to Anime Out of Context, the show where I attempt to explain the sometimes weird, sometimes wonderful, but always hilarious world of anime.
And I have a new shirt!
Yeah! You do have a new shirt, Remington.
My name is Remington Chase.
I'm Shaun Rollins.
I'm so pleased with my new shirt, Shaun. So, to the listeners, I recently designed a shirt for myself that's for the podcast that says one of my favorite lines of the podcast, Harry Potter is my favorite anime, and then it's got like a silhouette of Harry Potter's face, and he's doing the anime blush, and it's phenomenal.
You liked it so much, you screwed up our intro.
It was so good, Shaun.
You just couldn't hold it in for one more
No!
second.
I'm so pleased with it.
It is a great shirt.
We'll post a picture in the show notes so you all can appreciate how awesome this is. I'm really happy with the shirt.
Yeah, as you should, because it is quite something special, but at the same time, man, is that a shirt.
People have already been confused by it. It's been fantastic.
Oh, God, it's great, though. But, yeah, Remington, episode 20.
Yeah, somehow I've endured it this far, and now we've made it to 20.
Yeah, because if you think about it, not counting the time recording, you've spent literally about a little over 40 hours of your year watching anime.
I don't want to think about that, Shaun. You're going to send me in an existential anime crisis with that knowledge.
That's nearly 2 days worth of anime.
That's 2 days too many.
Oh, but you liked some of it.
Yeah, less than half.
Well, maybe this one will be the one that puts you over that margin.
I'd like to believe, but I'm so highly skeptical.
Why would you be skeptical, Remington?
Because you're you, and this podcast is what it is, and our listeners, as lovely as they are, enjoy my pain.
I mean, to be fair, I enjoy your pain quite a lot, too.
See, that's why I'm paranoid. That's why I'm suspicious.
Well, there's no need to be suspicious, Remington, because today we are actually going to be getting back to our roots a little bit. There's a genre that we haven't really talked about for quite some time.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's frightening. I don't like to think back on any of the genres we touched on early on. That was all bad.
Well, don't be such a baby, Remington.
Oh god.
It's going to be something very familiar and near and dear to your heart. And you're going to have a great reaction as soon as I tell you what it is.
Is it magical girls?
Kind of.
Kind of. Ooh.
Remington, we're going back to where we all started.
Oh,
we're
fuck.
going back to ecchi, my man.
No! God damn it!
What's the problem, Remington?
Episode 1. How we all started this was Rosario Vampire, an ecchi. And for those who don't know, ecchi is the H where it's hentai, but not fully hentai, it's hentai light. Oh, God.
You doing all right there, bud?
One of my least favorite things in anime is gratuitous sexuality and fan service, and it's usually underage, and everything is terrible, and I hate this so much.
Well, you might find some enjoyment in it.
It's very skeptical.
I'll be honest with you, Remington. It's going to be a bit of an interesting experience for the both of us.
God.
Because, funny that you should mention Rosario Vampire.
What?
Remington, we have gotten some emails
Oh no.
about potentially returning to certain animes.
No. Don't do this to me, Shaun!
And I figured, since I wanted to get back to ecchi, I would ease you back in with something a little familiar.
God damn it, we're doing Rosario Vampire again?
I mean, it's been 20 episodes.
Oh, fuck.
Would you have preferred I did something else, like Oreimo?
No! I hate this so much. Rosario Vampire. I remember in episode 1, I made a comment along the lines of, I can't imagine how it could get worse. And since, oh boy, it's gotten worse. But nonetheless, Rosario Vampire was terrible in every way. I don't wanna.
Oh, come on, Remington. We're getting back to basics. When we started the show, I used that as the baseline for pretty bad or mediocre anime, and it has stayed pretty stagnant in your overall ranking list, hasn't it?
It has, yeah.
For the longest time, it was dead in the middle, too.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So really, this is kind of a retrospective on where we've been since then.
Oh, Jesus.
Because, going back to where it all started, having a good experience with it, because we really only watched 3 episodes of that, if you remember.
It was 3 too many.
And you couldn't go an episode farther.
Oh,
But
boy.
we didn't really get the whole experience, I suppose.
feel like I got much more experience than I would have ever liked.
Yeah. So tell me, Remington, what do you remember about Rosario Vampire?
Oh boy, this is a callback to just the beginning of the year. From what I remember of Rosario Vampire, you had the main guy who started our bland bitch protagonist syndrome.
Yep, that would be Sukune.
Sukune, yes, and he had very little to no personality. And then you had Vampire Girl that goes chew and can transform into her crazy vampire form and mess shit up.
That would be Mocha.
Yep, Mocha. And, of course, they're super into each other, and Mocha always goes chew when she bites him, and he wants to leave, but the buses aren't coming anytime soon, because of course they're not. Then you have the succubus, whose tits move around of their own free will. Kurumo. And there was like this weird love triangle, and it was real awkward. And then you had a 13-year-old witch, which is unacceptable, who was also into the bland bitch protagonist.
But she's so smart. That's why she's in high school, Remington.
Oh yeah, she's so smart, but she's also only 13 and being way too overly sexualized.
Oh, I don't know about that. What would give you the indication that she's being overly sexualized?
To go back to one thing I vividly remember of Rosario Vampire, and this was my opening statement in after we had watched the episode. The opening shot, and many shots to come, was a panty shot. They just don't care. They don't give a damn. And, oh my god.
Oh, don't be such a baby. By the way, the witch's name was Yukari.
Oh yes, Yukari.
Yeah, and, there was actually another character.
Was there?
But it's one we didn't quite get to.
Oh, yes. There was the ice spirit or something like that?
Yes, the snow woman, the snow spirit girl.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, she existed and we hadn't reached her yet.
Exactly, because she comes a couple episodes after the first 3, and...
I was not willing to watch any more.
Yeah, you asked me specifically, does she show up in the 4th episode? And I said no, and you're like, well, I'm not watching it.
Yep. Oh, God.
So I thought that it would be a good point for us to get, at very least, to the point where she appears, and you can critique her a little bit and add more depth to your opinion of this show.
I feel like it's as deep as it should ever go.
Which is, like, the depth of a paddling pool?
Yes.
Well, it's okay, because we're going to get a shovel and we're gonna dig up underneath the paddling pool and see what else we can find.
And out of all of the anime we've done that we could have revisited, this is the one you choose.
Yeah, because it's our original baseline. You got to kind of come back to your baseline and think to yourself, where does it stand now? Is it still in the same place? Is it better? Is it worse? Where am I putting it?
I'll be honest, it's not going to get any higher. It can only go downhill from here.
And I'm going to tell you right now, Remington, it really gets worse.
No!
After episode 3, things get a little...
God.
Problematic, you might say.
I'm in the abyss.
Because there were some slightly rapey overtones in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, because you had creepy ogre and then the succubus, and they were both being pretty rapey from what I recall.
Oh, yeah. It gets worse.
Oh, Jesus.
Like, it's like every single monster character, which, yeah, they're monsters, but I don't think all monsters care about... that. Granted, I'm not a monster, so I wouldn't know. Well, I am a monster because I'm doing this to you, but that's besides the point. A different kind of monster, really.
The real monsters are in ourselves. I think that's a joke I already made in the Rosario episode.
And it's great, too, because that's also where your shirt came from.
It is. I made this quote that's now on my torso in episode 1. Oh, it was more fitting than I thought.
Yeah, and I love the fact that you decided to announce your shirt this time around.
Oh, so how are we going to go about doing a follow-up? Because I already know Rosario Vampire. I'm already aware of it.
Well, it's going to be just like I said. Primarily, our series has been a lot about first looks and having an introspective on the first couple episodes of an anime and trying to get a good feel for what it's like based on those episodes. We've already done that with Rosario Vampire.
Of course.
You weren't impressed.
No, I was not.
But there are people who have asked about follow-up questions. Now, they have asked this about things like Mirai Nikki and the more profound predictions that you have. But for starters, the baseline, I feel, is a good place to start. And we're going to watch some more episodes. We're going to talk about it a bit more. We're going to talk about how you feel about it now versus how you feel about it then, whether things they did anything better, whether they did things worse, new characters that pop up.
Did I have any single moment of flattery in the first episode for it? I can't recall complimenting it on anything.
You didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe these next couple episodes will have something for you.
I don't think so.
I mean, maybe there'll be a character you're like, well, they're psychotic. I love them.
the Nico Ni effect.
Exactly. Just someone who is absolutely psychotic, and they're kind of aware that they're psychotic, so that they're used to a defect.
I don't know. I feel like the succubus would have matched that, but I didn't love the succubus.
Well, why not? What was wrong with her, Rem?
Her boobs moved of her own free will. She was super rapey. I think, from what I vaguely recall, she might have been my favorite character, but it was a low bar.
Yeah, you did list her as your favorite.
Yeah. A very shameful favorite, frankly.
And to be fair, if any monster could move their body parts like that, it would probably be a succubus.
I mean, yeah.
But then again, she's also underage.
It's just not okay.
But do monster rules apply to human
Yes, they do. They entirely do.
Oh, man. Well,
I don't care if you're a witch. If you're 13 years old, I don't want to see it.
I can hear the police sirens already.
Oh, God.
They're coming in. The FBI's gonna crash through my window. They're gonna tie you down and arrest you on the spot.
Yeah,
And
they're gonna take me away.
I'm gonna wave goodbye to you, and I'm just with tears in my eyes.
And then in prison, I'll write the autobiography, How Anime Ruined My Life.
Exactly, and it'll be great. It'll be a bestseller, and it'll have plenty of plugs for the podcast.
Oh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, so for those of you who may not have listened to the episode on Rosario Vampire, you can go back and listen to it if you like, but for those of you who don't have the time or forgot, Rosario Vampire is very straightforward. It's about Sukune, who was not going to get into high school through normal means. His father managed to pick up an acceptance letter.
Priestly woman dropped it, and he was like, oh, this is perfect for my boy.
Because that's how acceptance letters work.
Yeah, of course.
Gives it to his son, sends him on his way to the school. Problem is it's in like a slightly different dimension, and everybody at the school is a monster.
Oh, and he was so dumb because it took him forever to catch on. It was like after the second transformation of Mocha, the vampire, where he said something along the lines of, maybe she is a vampire. Yeah, maybe. Maybe you got a hunch. You got an idea.
Yeah, Sukune is probably one of the biggest idiots I've ever seen in a show.
I hate him.
And not a redeemable idiot either.
No.
Just genuine idiocracy. And he goes to this school. He's a little perturbed. He runs into Mocha. Mocha is like, oh, you smell nice. And then chomps down on his neck. Vampire. Wait, but is she a vampire? Yes, she's a vampire. We know this. Everyone knows this. Sukune is a bit of a dummy, so it takes him a minute to figure it out. Goes around, turns out everybody is a monster. And then it kind of goes through, I would say adventures, but they're not really adventures as much as they are situations where either Sukune is getting attacked, or Mocha is getting attacked, or they're getting attacked.
I'll be honest, I can't remember anything relevant to plot besides he can't go home because of the bus not showing up for another, I don't know, what was it, 2 months or something?
Just 1 month.
Just 1 month, yeah. And beyond that, it was just all trying to have sex with one another. That's all my memory is.
Don't be ridiculous, Remington. They're in high school. They wouldn't do anything like that.
Oh yeah, don't be so silly!
It's not like if you replaced the word blood with anything lewd or innuendo-based, it would completely change the dynamic of the show.
That'd be so ridiculous!
It's literally just a very formulaic show as well, where, there's introduce random side students that are monsters of some kind. They come in, they assault either Sukune or any of the other main characters. The Rosario gets ripped off. She transforms into a super vampire. She kicks their ass, and then the exposition bat flies in, talks for a second, and flies away.
The bat! I forgot about the bat. The bat, which in episode 1 was like good, and then it just went downhill because it just kept showing up. And it was like, hey, we're aware of how terrible this show is, but that doesn't okay it. Oh man, I'm just reminding myself of rage.
Yeah, exposition bat was easily your least favorite part of the show.
It started so well.
Yeah, because it was funny. It was occasionally it's like, oh wow, that's a clever comment.
Bad.
But then at the end of every episode, oh, today's fight only took about 38 seconds, or about 80 seconds, or like it's like every time, and it's like it's not funny. Or like it's like, hey, this is a new monster. What is it? Exposition bat. Well, you see, this is a werewolf. When they look at the moon, they turn into a wolf.
I hate this so much.
Exposition bat is the bane of my existence.
This podcast is the bane of mine.
Oh, but it is so worth it in the end, Remington.
Is it?
For me, it is. And for anybody who likes to enjoy your pain, which many people do.
I am a martyr to anime for all of the listeners.
Exactly. I feel like exposition bat is probably the most accurate term for when random anime characters just describe things rather than showing you things.
Yeah, I think it's a good term.
Yeah, because it's just out of nowhere. It's like, oh, remember this is a bat that talks, and it's telling you exactly what's going on, even though you could probably infer that.
Just shove it right in there.
Oh, this person is a vampire, therefore she doesn't like garlic. Well, we could have figured that.
Yeah, got a hunch.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very horribly done trope, and it kind of ties into the anime trope of mascot characters being horribly obnoxious. which is the case for a lot of anime.
Okay, I have an important question to ask. Because we are in uncharted territory and we are revisiting an anime, I have to ask, how many episodes are we watching? Oh, fuck.
Well, it is very uncharted territory, Remington, and we don't quite have the system 100% flushed out, but we're gonna watch a couple.
I hate when you say a couple. A couple means too many.
For you, this show, one episode is too many.
It's true.
But we're at least going to get to the part where you run into the Snow Girl, so you can at least get the full cast of characters, which is mostly the full cast of characters. There's a lot of characters in this show. Most of them are irrelevant, but you gotta focus on, like, the harem characters, which is what they all are.
I hate this.
Because for some reason, they all like Sukune, and they all like him for different reasons, except their reasons are non-existent.
He's such a bad character.
And a bad person, quite frankly. But, you know, this is the things we do for the entertainment of others, Remington.
The things we do! As if this was such a sacrifice for you, Shaun.
I had to stay up late and rewatch this show again to prepare.
Watching bad anime is your existence, Shaun.
Hey,
it's
now.
my hell.
You enjoyed the worst anime I showed you.
Yeah, because it was so bad, it's good. This isn't, like, look at me and how bad and ridiculous I am. It's, hey boys, do you see how sexy it is? And no! Fuck off! Fuck off! God damn it!
Oh, Remington, you seem so distraught.
I am.
Is there anything you'd like to say before we go into this, Rem?
To all of our listeners who requested that we do a follow-up, I still love you, but you're making it hard.
You're not mad, you're just disappointed.
Oh, I'm in the abyss. So far in the abyss.
And to their credit, they didn't ask for Rosario Vampire specifically, that was all me.
God damn it.
But I feel I am justified. Alright, Remington, let's get into it. Let's go watch some more episodes of Rosario Vampire.
Yay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back after watching episodes 4 through 7 of the esteemed Rosario Vampire. Remington, what's the matter, buddy? You seem a little forlorn. So either you are practicing your Tibetan throat singing, or you have become a bottomless void.
It's definitely the latter, Shaun. Definitely the latter.
Oh, what's the matter, man? We've seen this before, and all we're really doing is returning to something we already know what it's like. Why are you so upset?
I came into this knowing it was going to be terrible. I came into this knowing I was going to dislike it, but it hit valleys I didn't know it could go to.
Oh yeah? What kind of valleys, Remington?
Oh, let's start off from the get-go. We start episode 4, right?
Yep.
We start episode 4, and immediately we get a panty shot, because that's all this show is. It's only panty shots. We also see the goddamn bat. We also have everybody fighting over Sukune, who is such a meaningless character, and I hate him so much. Within 20 seconds, it's like, hey, you remember every single thing you despised from the first 3 episodes? Here they all are!
Oh, but Remington...
It's just so bad.
It really drops off after that 4th episode, doesn't it?
I didn't realize that the first 3 episodes were the good ones.
Okay. So I take it your opinion has slightly altered, then?
It's gone downhill.
Downhill, really?
Oh, yes.
So our original baseline is just slipping deeper and deeper into the abyss that you are currently residing in.
Without a doubt.
Oh, man. All right, let's break it down bit by bit then. Let's start with episode 4. You're right. Literally 20 seconds in, the first thing we see is panties.
Yup. And episode 4, the plot of episode 4, and I use the word plot quite loosely, is that you have this fan club of the 3 main girls, and they're jealous of Sukune because Sukune is getting all the girls. And they're clumsy and weird and silly, and they could have been humorous if they were, like, taken to an even further extreme, but they just weren't well fleshed out enough. Like, I would have loved to see them taken further, thought put into them. I think they could have been humorous, but they weren't. And so the plot is them trying to get the girls. Meanwhile, Sukune is sort of considering leaving. He's feeling quite inadequate because he's a piece of shit and can't do anything right.
So really good reasons to feel inadequate.
Oh, yeah. Like, why do you feel inadequate, Tsunoge? Because I'm inadequate. Good reason.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
reason.
But yeah, no, very interesting. Yeah, the only extreme they went to was the creepy extreme. And it was, it was creepy.
There was, that being said, in this episode, it had the one sincerely hilarious moment we saw today. And I mean this unironically, it showed a moment of self-awareness without trying to be like, hey, look how self-aware we are. And that was when the fat one was following the succubus. The fat one was following her, and of course, her tits are jiggling with every step.
Because that's what they always do.
Because that's what the show does. But then it, like, pans to him, and his fat stomach is jiggling in the exact same way. And, like, they didn't try and shove it into your face. They weren't like, ha ha, get it? It's a joke. It was just a nice, silly moment. That's it. That is maximal humor. That's the one decent moment.
In the entire show?
Well, if I recall, like, in the first time we did this, the bat had the first or second time the bat showed up was a good moment. So I guess there are two good moments
in the entire series.
In the first half of the series.
Yeah. Wow. All right, that's fair. Speaking of the bat.
Oh, yes.
How do you feel about the bat now that you've seen him, 4 more times?
I hate him so much. I briefly touched on this in the first episode we did on Rosario Vampire. He started out snarky and meta in an interesting way, but he quickly devolved into, hey, this is the show you're watching, an exposition bat, right?
Yeah.
And really not even meta jokes, just, hey, you're watching a show. It's like, yeah, cool, I am. Yes, I am.
Yeah, good work, Bat. What else do you want to tell us, Bat? Did you know werewolves are monsters?
Oh, I never knew. I'm learning so much.
Exposition, Bat, is the worst.
Rosario Vampire, where you can get your mythology, your porno, and your anime all at once.
And have it all be wrong.
It's so bad.
It's wrong on so many different levels.
And so with episode 4, eventually it looks like Tsunoge is leaving. He's packed his bags. He's on his way out. But then the 3 fan club members, they try and stop him. And they have transformations, which were mildly interesting. They kept saying it, so you had a good hunch. One would end every sentence with umbrella. One would end every sentence with necky. One would end every sentence with blob. So when they transform, one of them transforms into an umbrella. The other one has a real long neck. The other one turns into a blob. I know, it's crazy.
I will say that those are actually monsters and spirits in a lot of Japanese folklore.
I just loved when they fusion had that bitch and combined themselves together. Like, that was a decent moment.
Yeah, and also, we had no idea that they could do that, but apparently they can do that.
Oh yeah, it's never explained or anything before or after.
Yeah.
And then it ended like every single fight ever ends. You got Mocha, she transforms, she kicks ass. That's it.
Oh, but it's always because Sukune accidentally rips off the Rosario.
Oh, yeah, it's just like, oh, man, cool.
But I like how it's accidental every time.
Yeah, like, it's very rarely intentional. He's just like, oh, whoops. Oh, cool, it works out.
Yeah,
But what I'm confused by, two brief things. One, the blood ocean was green in this scene, and I'm really confused and angry about it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was a blood ocean. And it then continues to be a blood ocean later on. But in this one scene, It's just a nice green ocean, which is weird. But more importantly, why are the club members trying to stop him from leaving? I know, as it turns out, he was just trying to send some letters. He wasn't trying to leave. He's okay with the risk of likely being murdered because he wants to get his dick wet. But why would the club members stop him? I don't understand. This episode, bad on all fronts, creepy on all fronts. I don't like it. 0 out of 10.
Oh, they weren't trying to stop him. They were just trying to kill him.
They should have succeeded.
They really should have, but they didn't because they were just as incompetent as Sukune. Which, that's his name, Sukune. You keep saying it wrong.
Oh, I keep saying Tsunike.
Yeah, you do.
Sukune, there we go.
Yeah, but it doesn't really matter.
He doesn't deserve it.
It doesn't matter. So episode 4 is where things really start to go downhill.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 5, that was an interesting experience.
I hated it.
I don't think there's a single episode you didn't, though.
You're not wrong, Shaun. Episode 5, they get to join clubs. And first of all, a note on this, something that really showed in this episode was all of the male modesty. The men all dress very modestly. None of the women ever do, even a single time, in any way, shape, or form. Like, there's quite the double standard. But nonetheless, the point of the episode is, okay, everyone is starting to find a club, and there's a swimming club. It has hot girls. Every single person ever joins the swimming club because it has hot girls.
Which, by the way, I don't think any school would allow their students, monster school or not, to wear these swimsuits that every single girl was wearing.
And offer sexual favors if you join the club.
No, they didn't straight up offer sexual favors. They just said they'd provide additional services because there's only girls in the club.
Yeah.
And this episode is a travesty.
This episode was so weird because the conflict arises because Mocha can't swim because it's holy, because water is purifying, and she's a vampire. You're thinking, well, everybody else is a monster. Shouldn't that matter? And no, don't worry about it. Don't think about it. So she can't interact with water, which we'll touch on again in a couple episodes. But she can't interact with water. Meanwhile, Sukune is being seduced by the head swimming club member. And meanwhile, the succubus and the witch, they're fighting over one another. At one point, they have a singing contest, which was out of fucking nowhere.
Oh yeah, no, it's very strange because the overall plot is they join the club, and then to celebrate all the people joining the club, they have like a massive pool party competition thing, which would have taken hours upon hours to set up.
Oh yeah. And then you just have the witch and the succubus have a singing competition with each other that just amounts to, I have big tits, you have small tits, and that's it.
One of these things are not like the other.
That's the entire argument is like, oh man, look at my big tits, but I have small tits. Ha ha ha, that's it.
How comfortable are you talking about a 13-year-old's tits?
It's not acceptable. Not okay.
Every few seconds she's on screen, Remington is like, but she's 13 though.
It's not okay.
But she's 13 though, and it's like, yeah, I have to keep reminding yourself because of how horrible it is. But no, it's literally that. Like, to celebrate the whole people join the club, they're all, let's have a big competition where girls constantly get their tops ripped off.
Yep.
Which is kosher for a high school environment.
Yeah, definitely like sexual harassment happening all over there. And then it turns out that the entire swim club, initially, all the girls, they're mermaids, and then they murder everybody except Sukune and the girls.
Yeah. What's hilarious is that apparently mermaids suck life force, which I don't know about you, but I've never read about mermaids that suck life force.
I'll accept that, but surely they should be like expelled? Maybe if you have a monster high school, one of the main rules is like, hey, you can't use your monster abilities to murder other students. Like, I don't know how you could stay in business that long. Surely you would have monster parents being like, I don't know if this is the right school to send my child who's just been murdered. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. But as with everything else, don't worry about it.
Yeah, exactly. So, of course, back a little before the big strange party out of nowhere, which takes over 10 minutes, by the way.
Oh yeah, it lasts forever.
It lasts way too long. Mocha gets splashed with water. She has an adverse reaction, which is displayed by electricity for some reason.
Yeah, of course.
Because, when every time I touch a vampire with water, they just explode in a violent cascade of electricity.
Yeah, it was like some Wicked Witch of the West bullshit. I didn't explain it super well, but she then goes and she cries to herself for little to no reason, and she's jealous and she's clingy, and I didn't give a damn.
And then all that happens. And then after all that is done, it just cuts back to her sitting in the exact same fucking spot.
Still just crying. Like, they've been partying for hours. She's still just in the corner crying, which I think you're supposed to be sad about, but it was just stupid and funny.
And then she is like, no, I have to be with Sukune because... Reasons. Goes back, sees the events of the guys getting literally the life sucked out of them. They're getting bitten, and then they're just turning into old men, like Raiders of the Lost Ark style, just fading to dust.
And then my favorite moment that we saw today happened. She sees that Sukune is in trouble, right? And it's like, oh, but I can't be in the water. What am I going to do? All right, let's jump. So she takes a great leap into the water, and then she just starts drowning. She just starts flailing around, and it's like, I'm gonna save you. Oh, like, what the hell?
Which is a joke that has been used in all kinds of shows and media. But this was the stupidest example of it that we just could not keep a straight face throughout it. Because they tried turning it into like a dramatic tension moment. It's like, oh no, she's drowning.
Yeah, it's like they tried to make you be like, oh no, she cared so much she put herself in danger. Now look how much trouble she's in. It's like, no, she made a stupid decision. And now she's drowning. Like, it was so unintentionally hilarious. And then, of course, Sukune goes, he saves her, clings it off, she turns into a vampire, but then it's like, oh man, she's weak in the water, she's against a bunch of mermaids who are strong in the water, she wins. That's it, she wins.
I mean, to be fair though, the mermaid's plan of attack was to surround her in a circle, shake their bodies, and splash her with water.
If I've learned anything from Pokemon, it's that splash, not a great attack. You're not gonna get much done.
Accurate. And of course, the side characters, because let's be honest, that's what they are.
Oh yeah.
Help get rid of the other mermaids. The main mermaid bitch is trying to deal with her. She jumps out of the water. Mermaid bitch follows her out of the water, bitch, because, mermaids do that.
Yeah.
Gets her ass kicked in one blow. You see a couple more panty shots. A dramatic sway of the hair. It's like, you don't understand Mocha. She was crying her eyes out. And then Rosario clicked back in, and then the episode ends. And it's like, well, I guess we're not joining the swimming club. Then Deus Ex Catina, the cat teacher lady, shows up. It's like, hey, why don't you join the newspaper club? And they're like, okay, that sounds great. We love newspapers. And it's like, well, all right.
Sure, why not?
I mean, you've shown no predisposition for enjoying it.
Yeah, because of reasons, I guess.
And that's where it moves on to episode 6.
Episode 6, they start with a mystery. You see, it opens up and some girls are getting changed and there's some creep that's taking pictures and it's dark and it's spooky. Ooh, I wonder who this could be. And then moments later, you're introduced to a new character.
But Remington, it could have easily have been.
In this episode, we're going to be solving the mystery of who this pervert could be. By the way, completely unrelated, here's this new character you haven't seen before.
Yes, he always...
I wonder.
And he's always smiling.
He's always smirking, smiling, seems like a bit of a sleazeball. I have no idea who it could possibly be.
His literal first introduction is he comes in with 2 bouquets of flowers, gives them to Kurumo and Mocha, and then takes one out and gives it to Yukari.
Because Yukari is just always forgotten. She is Kurumo's sidekick for 80% of it, and for the other 20%, she's just ignored. It's really weird and makes it an imbalanced dynamic. But nonetheless, the sort of plot in this episode is you have Sukune being framed as the peeping Tom when it's actually Gin, and that's the new guy, Gin.
Yeah, the senior member of the newspaper club, which, by the way, what a surprise that the journalist is a pervert taking pictures.
Yeah, what do you know? And so they frame Sukune. Mocha's like, what? It couldn't be Sukune. And the other girls are solving the mystery, even though it's obviously not one. And then Oh no, is Sukune gonna be blamed? Oh no, now Mocha's talking to Gin and it's super dramatic and she's not sure how she feels about Sukune because he might be a peeping Tom. Oh wait, but now, fortunately, Kurumo and Yukari, they've solved the case. And so they show up and they lay out all the facts. And all the facts, we have not seen any of them. Like, in a good mystery, it's like all those subtle details add up to this being the conclusion. And you're like, yeah.
But you know what makes up for it, Remington? The fact that they were wearing a Sherlock Holmes outfit. That means that...
You know what? I did like the Sherlock Holmes and Watson outfit. It added something different, unique. It was silly, and this show was very strangely rarely silly. Which I feel like if it would have embraced the silliness more, it could have been decent.
Yeah, except when it tried to be silly, it was usually hard.
It was real bad.
Yeah.
But then you have them just list a bunch of facts that we have never seen before, and they're like, so it must have been you.
And it's all conjecture, too.
Oh yeah, like they have no real reason. Like it's bad evidence, and it's evidence that we as the audience have not seen. And so they're like, so it's obviously you. And he's like, I've been caught. But fortunately, it's the full moon, and he makes a transformation into a werewolf. Oh, wow, he's a werewolf. And then because it's the full moon, you think he's gonna be super powerful, but then some clouds cover the full moon, and Mocha turns into a vampire, whoops his ass, that's it. Because that's how it always goes.
Yeah, because, it turns out monster powers are very situationally focused.
Yeah, and it was so strange in this episode. Mocha's all of a sudden, like, super modest, and even Kurumo was modest at the very start for like the whole peeping Tom. Sukune, how could you be looking at our panties? So ridiculous, you pervert. I don't like dirty boys.
Like,
it's
seriously,
like,
that was the line that broke it for
What?
me. Was literally Mocha saying, as she's running away with a tear in her eye, I hate dirty boys.
Yeah, and it's like, do you not know the show you're in, bitch? Because that's all this show is about. Oh, everything was ridiculous of this episode. It was a really bad one, as they all are.
But what do you think of Gin, all in all, after all is said and done?
He's probably in the upper half of characters, I guess.
Yeah, because, he is a repeating character now. He's literally one of the only repeating characters that isn't a chick.
If you thought the school would put any sort of discipline on him, for taking very inappropriate pictures of every girl ever, nah, it's fine.
Well,
Don't
he does
worry about it.
He does get beat up by a bunch of the girls.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah, no, nobody seems to get expelled from the school. Like, there's not even any talk of the mermaids getting expelled for straight up murder.
There's just no discipline in this school. Like, you need to put your foot down. I know we're monsters, but we're not animals. Come on.
Except for him, he's literally a werewolf.
He is literally... Okay, he has a mild excuse.
And maybe that's why he wasn't expelled.
You know what all adds up.
Ah, goodness. And that was the 6th episode, and whoo boy.
And then we get to episode 7, and that's just Frozen, but with tits. That's the plot. I am not exaggerating. We get introduced to the snow spirit girl, right? And we're trying to figure out what kind of girl she is. She's just like this hipster loner piece of crap.
Stalker is another thing.
Yeah, she has apparently been keeping all of the articles. She has kept all the articles that Sukune has written, right? And that's a bit weird because we've only had one episode of the newspaper club existing, but sure, why not? He's written a bunch of articles, and she's kept them all, written comments on them all. She feels lonely but understood, right? So she takes him out into the woods. Into the woods. Very Disney themed. And she's like, we understand each other, don't we?
I twitch.
Yeah. You're lonely, I'm lonely. And it's like, I'm actually not that lonely. I got a bunch of bitches trying to get my dick. And she's like, what the fuck did you say? And so she starts freezing him, and she sent Nice Demon to like stall the girls or some crap. But then of course the girls come find him, save the day. Because of course they do. But then they get in like a very mild fight in this scene that ends with all of the main characters, not including Snow Spirit Girl, falling through ice and getting in water. And you're like, oh man, but wait a minute, Mocha doesn't like what? Don't worry about it. It's not brought up. She falls into the water and nothing happens. Don't think about it. Don't focus on it. Don't worry about it.
They do the stereotypical wrong joke that they fell into cold water, so now they all have colds and are wrapped up in blankets, which that's not how illness works.
But who cares? It's cold. Get it?
Yeah, and she seems just about as bad as a normal person would be being dunked into ice cold water after that.
Yep, and then you have the Snow Spirit go off on her own, right? And she's all lonely, and Sukune's like, oh, I want to talk to her. But in the meantime, a teacher notices her and is like, oh, I'm going to go. And you're like, oh, he's going to go comfort her. But you shortly see that the teacher has been injured, and you're like, oh, man, she's gone crazy. But you soon find out, oh no, he was just trying to molest her. And of course he's a dark tentacle monster, because of fucking course he's a dark tentacle molesting monster.
I mean, to be fair, it's amazing that the anime took this long to get to that point.
Yeah, you know what? I'm frankly surprised. Yeah. But so that's why she attacked him. Nonetheless, she's now on the cliff of the blood ocean.
Which is red again.
Which is back to being bloody. And Sukune goes and he's like, oh no, what are you doing? Oh, calm down. It's all gonna be okay. And she's just Elsa from Frozen, super pissed at everything now because fuck it.
And she needs to let it go, right?
She needs to let it go. And she uses the blood ocean to create more of herself, and the other girls show up to try and help Sukune because he's fucking worthless on his own. And blah, 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 drama, tension.
That doesn't exist.
That doesn't exist. Long story short, Mocha turns into a vampire, saves the day. That's it.
Yeah. But in the end, it's quirky because they're back at the newspaper club, and there she is, sneakily looking around the corner, is like, I'm gonna hang out with you guys now.
Yeah, and everyone is like, oh no, but she's like, no, I'm changed. And it's like, cool. That's how you do character development. You just say you're different.
That she cut her hair.
Oh, she cut her hair too. That's how you know she's different.
But don't worry, she's still a creepy stalker, so it's fine. Wait, is that fine? I don't think that's fine.
I was hoping that she was going to be an interesting character, because if you're an absolutely psycho bitch, then usually I can get interested in you as a character. But nope, gave me nothing, really bad, fell flat in every single way.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
And those were the 4 episodes we watched. So, and of course, at the end of every episode, the exposition bat will still pop up and say how long the fight took.
Which, is that a joke? Is that supposed to be funny? Is that supposed to be interesting? I don't understand.
It's supposed to be a running joke, but the problem is, it never started as a joke, so it's literally just running.
Yeah, it's just a thing that happens, and I don't think anybody should care about.
Except you get very angry every time you see it.
I hate the bat. He was the one thing I started out enjoying way back when, but that was tarnished by the end of episode 3, and it's only gotten worse.
Because he keeps showing up at least every 2 minutes, right?
It's ridiculous. This show is everything I remembered being terrible, but worse. You still have panty shots in every other frame. Once again, that is hardly an exaggeration. You get gratuitous sexuality, which sexuality, as I've mentioned many times, is fine. But don't pretend like you have some dramatic, deep, emotional story behind it, because you don't. You absolutely do not. Just watch hentai. If you're wondering if you should watch Rosario Vampire, no, just watch hentai.
That is the most unkosher thing you could have ever recommended, and I'm so glad we have an explicit tag on our podcast.
That's the only thing this anime has is, oh look, it's sexy. That's it. It has no other merits.
But I mean, it didn't have any straight up nudity.
Ish. Definitely pushing that line.
I mean, you saw no nipple, so you should be.
Oh, and that makes it all okay.
But don't worry, Remington. Later episodes, they do drop the ball and say, hey, have some nipple.
What the fuck?
Yeah, it's okay. They're older by that point.
Not acceptable. I hate everything about this anime. Shaun, you are a son of a bitch. I hate that we had to revisit this anime. It hurt me so deeply inside. It was everything I remembered being terrible, taken to its worst extreme. It just keeps going downhill. Ugh.
But the question is, Remington, do you understand why I chose this one?
Because you hate me?
Well, no. Because it makes the most sense for our first return episode. It was the first episode we ever did, and it was our baseline for the longest time. So it makes sense that this would be the first one we come back to kind of see how things change, test out a little change to the formula, see how things go.
I just want you to promise me something, Shaun.
What's that, Remington?
Now that we've revisited, we will never revisit Rosario Vampire again.
Honestly, Remington, I will do my best. But if people keep asking for it...
Listen here, you son of a bitch.
If people ask for it...
That's not a promise.
I never said I was going to make a promise. But if people ask for it, they will. But as things stand right now, I don't have any plans to return to it.
Oh.
But that could all change if people pester me enough about it.
Please be merciful, our lovely, lovely fans.
Because apparently it gets even worse in the second season.
Nope.
And you're only halfway through the first season.
I hate this so much.
So really, if you want Remington to suffer, send us some emails, man. That'll be great.
Oh, I hate this.
Any final thoughts before we close off here, Remington?
I think that it was a nice experiment to revisit an anime. And certainly, if our listeners have any feedback on how we handled this, not emotionally, because the answer to that is not well, but logistics-wise, if they have any feedback to how we did a revisit episode, or if they'd like it changed, or if they thought it was good, or if they want us to see and revisit other anime, perhaps one that is less god-awful, that would be nice, then we would definitely love to hear it.
Ah, definitely. So, Remington, I have to ask, would you like to go and watch some more Rosario Vampire with me?
I said it in the last episode, but apparently it doesn't matter. No! No!
But what about Mocha?
No!
What about Kurumo?
Nope.
What about Yukari?
No.
Okay, what about Shiryugi?
God, no.
What about Gin?
No!
Nobody?
Nobody. And certainly not Sukune.
We don't even talk about him. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in. We really appreciate it. If you have any thoughts you want to share with us, leave a review on whatever medium you listen to, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, anywhere really, or if you like, word of mouth is even better.
It is truly extremely helpful for us when you guys do that, and if you would like to send us feedback directly, whether it be a question, comment, recommendation, anything else, then you can send an email over on to animeoutofcontext@gmail.com.
Once again, thank you so much for tuning in, and watch out for vampires. They're super sexual.
Cheers!